onto the grid. And they make for quite a stunning sight, don't they, these cars? And it should be, all in all, quite an exciting way of going racing, all in all. So, as they line up on the grid, let's see if we can take you through the order of how they're going to line up for this first race of the weekend for the BRSCC Fiesta Championship for the grid as we get set to get underway. And it's going to be the grey car on the left-hand side on the front row of the grid, which is Simon Horobin, who takes his first pole in a while in the Fiesta Championship. Good to have him back on pole position and back on form in the Specialised Motorsport prepared ST240 class car. And he's got one of his old sparring partners and stalwarts of the championship, former BTCC star and former class champion in the Fiestas, David Nye, alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then in row 2, it looks like we've got Luke Pinder, who is the double race winner from last time out at Alton Park, which is the first time they visited Alton Park in quite a while. And alongside him is going to be Rob Smith on the second row of the grid on 4th. We then get to Alistair Kellett. Good to have him back after he returned at Alton Park. He starts 5th on the grid alongside another long-standing stalwart of the championship, Jamie Going, in 6th. Zachary Lucas is then 7th in the green car on the 4th row of the grid. And then it's Spencer Stevenson, who finished runner-up in the championship last year when it was just ST150 scoring points. He starts 8th from the 4th row. John Cooper, the double cross winner, is 9th, alongside, well, he would have been starting 9th, but for some reason I cannot, unfortunately, see his car. So, unfortunately, it looks like John Cooper, who has had, unfortunately, past occasions where he's had quite a few, 1 or 2 mechanical issues. Unfortunately, the fact that his car is absent might suggest that, sadly, he's hit some more, which is a real shame if it is, and hopefully we do get him out for the second race later on today. Alongside him is Gary Miller, who makes his first appearance this year, and also first time in an ST240 class car, because he has raced, again, in ST150 a couple of times in the last couple of years, but it's his first time one of these brand new cars on the grid. The next row, which is row 6, which is number 9, Dominic Bush. Alongside him is the 50 of Marco Ricci. And then we get into our 6 cars that are in the ST150 class, which is seeing William Kellett, son of Alistair Kellett, who starts at the top of the ST150 grid. He starts overall 13th, alongside points leader in the overall table being Ethan Rogers. And then we have, I think, Stuart Robin starting a bit further back. He's in car 100 in the his Fiesta ST240. Alongside him, welcome to the championship for Nick Moore, who is been a regular in the past in both Ginettas and also in the Hyundai Coupe Cup, so he's used to front-wheel drive. He jumps into a Fiesta ST150 for the first time with Misty Racing, and he will line up on the 8th row of the grid, and that'll be Bryony Davis and Matt Chambers. Here's a quick run through the grid again. So Simon Horobin then, who will start course on pole position. That's his first pole in a while, actually, I think, and he has done quite well in the past at Snetterton, so certainly a circuit that he enjoys. David Nye back on form. He's been a bit off the pace a little bit in the last couple of first couple of meetings, but he is back on form now on the front row of the grid. Luke Pinder, of course, now a double race winner with these new Turbo Fiestas. He will start course in 3rd. Rob Smith, who's 2nd in the championship behind Luke, will start alongside him. So the top 2 in the championship on that 2nd row. Alistair Kellett, who's been a former overall Fiesta champion. Of course, glad to see him back after a long absence. They returned at Alton Park, and both he and William, of course, in separate class cars. And they'll also be sharing this ST240 class car in the Club Sport Trophy race tomorrow, so watch out for them. Jamie Going, of course, starting in P6. I think Zachary Lucas and Spencer Stevenson on the 4th row of the grid. Top 10 is then completed by, as we say, which should have been John Cooper, but if he does start, he'll have to be from the pit lane. If he does start, and I hope that he does. If not, he'll be missing out on another race due to mechanical problems. Gary Miller, of course, making his first start for a while, and first start in a Turbo Fiesta, with Dominic Bush and Marco Ricci coming next. But it's the top ST150 cars. You mentioned William Kellett, who's been quite a star over in Irish Fiestas in the past, in the Fiesta Z-Tech Championship, and been honing his craft over there. Now he's come over to the more national, more UK-based championship, and trying his hand in the ST150s and quite enjoying life in this championship so far. Ethan Rogers, of course, who's been the leading ST150 driver so far this year, is in 14th place. Then it's Stuart Robbins, who returns to the championship. He's a former class champion as well in Fiestas. He's back on the grid in 15th place. Nick Moore, who makes his debut, as we said, with Misty Racing in there, his ST150 machine, will start in 16th. And then the last few cars at the back of the grid will be our remaining 3 Fiesta ST150s, being Bryony Davis, who was already a podium finisher in class this year, Matt Chambers, who's been a newcomer since the start of the season, and a welcome also to Marlo Cordell, who didn't quite complete all his laps in qualifying, so he went out just shortly before racing got underway here this morning, and he should be starting at the back of the grid in what would have been 19th place. So the cars then make their way around towards the grid for this first of 3 races here today. And as they make their way around onto the formation lap, just a quick reminder of where they do stand in the points, if I can bring them up on my screen. So the point standings then coming into the weekend, as we say, Luke Pinder is the one that leads the way, courtesy of some strong results at Croft, followed by the double victories that he took at Alton Park, and he leads with 189 points. And then it's Rob Smith next with 172 in second place. Spencer Stevenson is third with 152. Then it's David Nye and Simon Horobin, who are tied for fourth, 144. But because on countback of results, David Nye is actually ahead thanks to that countback. So that's one to watch out for him. It's Simon Horobin, of course, who starts on pole, is fifth. Jamie Going is sixth, ahead of John Cooper and Marco Ricci. So Jamie Going has 136 points. 2 ahead of John Cooper on 134, but if he's not starting this race, he will almost certainly, I'm afraid, start to drop back down the order. Then we have Marco Ricci, who's in 8th in the points, 9th is Zachary Lucas, and then it's 10th overall and top ST150 driver, Ethan Rogers, in the points, and he leads that contest from Matt Chambers, who is 2nd ST150 and 11th overall, and then Bridie Davis, who is 3rd ST150 and 12th overall in points. Then the rest of the order goes Alistair Kellett, Jack Uhill, who sadly is not here with us this weekend because he had a rather not so nice accident at Alton Park, and we hope you wish him well, which he put him out for the rest of the day, and fingers crossed that he and the car are okay, and it won't be the last time we see him out this season because he did have to head to a local hospital. He appears to be, for the most part, okay, but he might be out of the action for a while. So fingers crossed he's okay. We wish him well and hope he makes a speedy enough recovery to join us back on the grid very, very soon. Stuart Robbins, of course, who's in the mix next. Then it's Rosie Hunt, Dominic Bush, and then William Kellett, who picked up a few points. And of course, Nick Moore and Gary Miller haven't started in the championship yet, and neither has Marlo Cordell. So all 3 of them will be adding to their points tallies this weekend. So cars begin to form up on the grid for this first Fiesta Championship race. These new turbo Fiestas are quite simply rocket ships in a straight line. 240 brake horsepower. They are incredibly quick. Compared to the ST150s, they are almost on another level. So this should be quite a contest. They've put on some really clean competitive racing so far this year. I'm expecting more of the same here at Snetterton, particularly with the long straights. Green flag at the back, the 5-second ball will go up, and we are all set for the first BRSCC Fiesta Championship race of the weekend at Snetterton. It's Horobin and Nye in the front row of the grid. Who's going to make the best jump away from pole position as the lights go out any second now? Pretty even start from the front row, but in the second phase, it looks like a nice space to put himself fully alongside Simon Horobin, down towards Ritchie's for the first time. It's a clean start also for the second row between Luke Pinder and Robert Smith. They're going to go 3 abreast into Ritchie's for the first time. Smith was looking possibly round the outside into the right-hander, but couldn't quite squeeze himself alongside quick enough. So out of Ritchie's, up towards the Wilson hairpin for the first time, and it's side-by-side for the lead. David Nye looking to the outside line. But look at Rob Smith trying to go past everyone and not so much succeeding as he runs wide and loses out to both Luke Pinder, who's now trying to get past David Nye, and also the 2 Jamsport teammates of Jamie Going and Rob Smith are side-by-side. And Simon Horobin, I think, misses a gear, and he loses pace either side from both Luke Pinder and David Nye. That was like Hackett and Schumacher Spa 2000, that was, down towards left-hander at Palmer's. But that's now killed Simon Horobin's momentum, and he's now going door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel with Jamie Going. It's not the first time those 2 have rubbed door handles in their lifetime racing Fiestas, and it won't be the last, I'm sure. But Simon Horobin's back up to 3rd after that one, or 4th at least, because David Nye has jumped into the early lead here, XT Agostini's. So I told you it was going to be exciting, close racing, and it's almost exactly proved that about a few corners in. Zachary Lucas with a pretty quick start, already getting up the inside of Jamie Going. Remember, Zach Lucas started back in, where did he start? Back in 7th on the grid. He's now trying to make his way up the order. Up the inside, looks Jamie Going. He's a little bit sideways. I don't think there was contact, but I think Zachary Lucas had to try and take the outside line. He goes bounding across the grass on the exit of Williams, slots in behind Spencer Stevenson, who's lost out to Alistair Kellett in the process. But the leaders then down towards the complex of Brundle and Nelson for the first time. These Turbo Fiestas, with 3 wheeling their way into the complex. And David Nye, nice and steady, nice and stable, into the complex they go. So Nye leads then, Smith in second place, bouncing over the curves goes Luke Pinder with Simon Horobin on his tail. And it's Alistair Kellett, who's starting fifth on the grid. He's still in 5th. Here's our ST150's nose to tail. I think it looks like it's William Kellett ahead of, I think, of all people. I think Nick Moore's up there in second place. So a strong start for Nick Moore if he's up there already amongst his fellow ST150 runners, as the leaders come through the right-hander at Coram and then into Murray's for the first time. So Nye leads it then. Second place for Rob Smith. It's third then for Luke Pinder and fourth for Simon Horobin. Down the pit straight they come. Look at how quick these cars are on a straight line. Down the pit straight they go. So Horobin, so 9 leads it then. Smith in second, Pinder third, Horobin fourth. Down for restarted on pole position. Then it's Alistair Kellett fifth, Jamie going sixth. It's Spencer Stevenson in seventh place. And then rounding out the top 10 on this opening lap already as they head down towards the hairpin at Wilson's for the second time. It's going to be Dominic Bush in 8th position. Gary Miller's up to 9th in his first start in the ST180 Turbo. And then it's the... so Dominic Bush is... Zachary Lucas is 8th, Dominic Bush is 9th, and it's then 10th place at the moment for Gary Miller. Just seeing to one of the comments on here saying if they're stripped out enough, they must weigh about 900 kilograms. Fairly pokey with 240 brake. Pokey is certainly something you can definitely agree on in terms of the pace. They are definitely that quick as they make their way down towards Agostini. Horobin was just trying to speculate and move up the inside into the hairpin there on Luke Pinder, but had to back out of it at the last minute and try and hold back from making contact. I think that's one of the great things about these new cars, is that they're so new and, of course, so well put together, is that no one dares make a dive up the inside and possibly make contact because they're such wonderfully put together machines. You daren't put a scratch or a dent on them in many cases. I think that's what's helping them to put competitive but clean racing here so far in the Fiesta Championship. And it's great to see that the championship's taken this direction. Of course, they brought Goodyear tyres on board for this year and for the next couple of seasons as well. So the Fiesta Championship's back on the up, especially with these brand new cars, and they certainly seem to be the right direction going forwards as they come on to this as the season progresses going forwards. Still scrap on for third place as Simon Horobin tries to force his way up the inside into Brundle. Not sure that was ever really going to work, as Pinder was always going to close the door to take the racing line towards Nelson. But Horobin's trying to fight back. It was good to see Simon back on form, because a couple of times we've seen him in the past, he makes a big mistake on the exit the bomb hole. I say he was back on form, but he seems to have, again, missed the gear and dropped back a few spots. So he's lost out Alistair Kellett and Jamie Going and Spencer Stevenson. And has he dropped back too much, or was that just a loss of momentum? I hope it's not a problem, because he has dropped back substantially and lost quite several spots in the process. And I wonder if it's just the speed that everyone was carrying through the right-hander at the compression that was just seeing him lose out a little bit. So hopefully he can get back up to speed, although he is now being passed by Dominic Bush. So I hope that whatever the mistake was there hasn't damaged something on the car, which has cost him pace. It'd be a real shame if it was. There's Zachary Lucas. Three-wheeling their way through Richie's corner. They are that stiffly sprung here. They are quite fantastic machines to watch race, and they are putting on quite a good spectacle here so far. So first proper flying lap around the circuit here. As, the fastest lap has gone to Jamie Going, 2 minutes 12.863. So he and David Nye, the only two drivers that have gone sub 2 minute 13. The rest are all in the Telelight, because also Alistair Kellett's also done so as well, 2 minutes 12.986. So fairly evenly matched between the front few cars at the moment, and just shows how not only well put together these cars are, but also how evenly matched they can be in terms of the spec kit of championship parts that you need in order to, or championship kit of spec parts in order to make them as even as possible. It's all down to the individual setup and preparation of the cars by the teams, and also the individual driver ability that means that they can try and pedal them quicker than anyone else. So David Knight had almost 0.7 of a second advantage over Rob Smith in that end of that second lap, and Smith's trying to come back, and if he can. But good to see Alistair Kellett back on the podium if he can make it. He's, of course, he's only returned, as we said, back at Alton Park, and before then it'd been some 18 months since he'd raced in the UK, with, of course, restrictions being put in by the current ongoing still pandemic, but that's still going. As David Nye almost very out of shape going into Brundle and Nelson. The back end was wiggling around in the air all over the place, and Alistair Kellett almost followed him, but they managed to get the car straightened up through Nelson and back on the straight and narrow up towards the bomb hole for the third time. Up towards Coram once again, and it looks as though that if Rob Smith hasn't closed in, he has at least kept the gap stable between the top two. Nose to tail of a third between Pinder and Kellett. Jamie Going's also keeping honest. Now, Simon Horobin appears to be, it looks like, back up to speed, because he has got back past Dominic Bush. So I wonder if it was just simply just a simple loss in momentum that sort of had to try and get back up the order and try and get back on the pace. But that mistake after starting from pole certainly has cost him a chance of getting a strong top five result, unless the field gets closed back together. Now, looking back there, that was this is Spencer Stevenson he's battling with it. No, it is Dominic Bush, forgive me. There's two or three of these red Fiestas, and trying to work out which one's which from a distance is always a little bit tough, but we managed to work it out there. That's another one. That's Spencer Stevenson. He's having a scrap with Zachary Lucas, who was in contention for victory at one point going backwards, but going back at Croft, but had a bit of an off and then a mechanical problem, which cost him some strong results. But he's now got a brand new car, which is in that beautiful British Racing Green metallic livery, and it's working well. Side by side for third, just in front of them. That was between Luke Pinder and Alistair Kellett, so they're having a scrap over the final podium place. Simon Horobin, meanwhile, has managed to pull away from his Specialised Motorsport teammate Dominic Bush. There is Simon, stalwart of club racing. Mainly raced in Fords. He's also raced before, and believe it or not, Smart 4.2s as well, in the Smart for 2 Cup as well. And that was something that was also prominent on the BRSCC package at one point, and Simon was a driver in it, so he's certainly no stranger to the front-wheel drive, particularly in Fiestas, and he has been a race winner in this championship years before, when the ST150s were the dominant car in the field. But now it's the turn of the turbos to take their place at the head of the pack and to put on some brilliant racing for everyone, not just here on the live stream, but also those watching at the circuit here. It's great to have spectators back, and they'll be watching this battle going on for third, fourth, and now fifth position, because Jamie Goings decided to join in here. And one thing we should mention, in the field here at the moment, the first 5 cars, all prepared by 5 different, five of the first 6 cars are all prepared by different teams. So you've got you've got the Daniels Motorsport car in the mix there of David Nye. Then you've got the Jam Sport car, Rob Smith, 2010's car, which is Luke Pinder, Kellett Motorsports car, which is driven by Alistair Kellett, and you've got Jamie Goings' Jam Sport machine, and then behind Spencer Stevenson, who is in, okay, that's right, I think he's either he's a Daniels one or possibly one of the cars. Now that's interesting. Alistair Kellett has not only lost his chance for third place, but he's also lost 3 more spots. He's lost out to Stevenson, Lucas, and also Jamie Goings. So I think there might have been a bit of a touch or an incident just slightly off camera, because we caught the end of that with Alistair Kellett again with a bit of a momentum lost. And now he's going to try and get himself back on course to try and get back onto the tail of these leading few cars that are battling for the lead. We've got 5.5 minutes to go in this first race, and still David Nye with the lead, but the gap has come down to 0.3 of a second. So Rob Smith, who, if I'm correct, hasn't won a race in the Fiesta Championship yet so far, could, if he plays his cards right, be on course to do so. But he's got to get around a very, very experienced ex-BTCC racer himself. But then Rob Smith has also done well. He's been a former British GT champion in the past as well, so he's certainly no stranger to running at the front of top-level championships. And so these two, certainly at the moment, the class of the field in this first race. Good effort so far for Spencer Stevenson, who only made his first season of racing in Fiesta Championship last year. It was a truncated season with only 3 meetings over the course of the year, but he scored strong enough throughout that shortened season to be able to pick up second place in the championship behind Sam Watkins, who hopefully we might see at some point throughout this year, if possible. Now, meanwhile, Jamie Goings has got past Alistair Kellett by the looks of things, so that's a change for position between 2 more experienced hands. And look who's also crept onto the back of them, Simon Horobin. So these 3 are going to have quite a scrap here, as are also 2 of the younger guns in front, because that Lucas is moving out to have a crack at Spencer Stevenson. Meanwhile, battle for the lead is on between David Nye and Rob Smith, who've got 4.5 minutes to go as they come out of Nelson and towards the bomb hole for the 5th time of asking through the right-hander. And now they make their way towards this long, almost never-ending corner of Coram. It used to be a shorter corner of Coram. It's a short little straight and into this little tight switchback right-left chicane of Russell, but it's now become the left-hander of Murray. He's named after the late, great Murray Walker. And now they're nose to tail for the lead and for third and for 5th position. So this could be a real crescendo towards the end of this race. And we could see a lot of positions change in a very short space of time. Down the pit straight, David Nye's not comfortable with the racing line. He goes back to the outside because he knows he has to defend. And here comes Rob Smith looking up the inside with a big dive into Ritchie's to try and take the lead from David Nye, who sweeps around the outside and holds on to the position. So David Nye under threat for the first time in this race. This should be quite the battle between the 2 of them. He's lost a bit of momentum on the run down towards the hairpin. But Smith will be back. That won't be the last attack he makes, I'm sure. Now, for the change for third has been completed. Zach Lucas looks as though he has got through past Spencer Stevenson. So there has been a change. Yes, there has. And look, Jamie Goings caught back up. There goes Alistair Kellett under threat from Simon Horobin. So wherever you look in this first few ranks of this ST240 class, There's battles everywhere in this group, and that just shows how competitive it's becoming. There's Dominic Bush in the background in car number 9. Side by side for position. This is Horobin going for 6th on the inside as his car's moving around as he stands on the middle pedal, and that is Horobin back up into P6. Now, it's not impossible, but there's time enough left for Simon Horobin to recover, and he could even get on the podium if he can pick his way past first Jamie Going, and that's never an easy task on those two on track together. Then it's Spencer Stevenson, and then Zachary Lucas. It's possible, but he hasn't got much time to do it. About just over 2.5 minutes to go in this race. So when they come across the line, it will be the last lap of the race that they go on to. So lap and a half to pick up 3 spots. It's not entirely impossible, but it's certainly quite a tall task for Simon Horobin if he can manage to pick up more places and start the lap a bit quicker. His last lap, in fact, he was quicker than anyone else in that last lap. The last lap times for all the cars in front of him in the first 6 positions were 2-minute 13s, or in the case of Spencer Stevenson, 2-minute 14. Simon Horobin, fastest man on track at the moment, not the fastest lap, but yes, he has got the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 11.334, but he's lapping about a second quicker than anyone else in front. So it might not be completely over here. He might well have a chance of picking up at least a couple more places. Here are the top 2. Through Coram up towards Murray's then to start the last lap of the race. And Zach Lucas again three-wheeling his way through the right-hander. But this is such a tricky braking zone. It's difficult not to lock it in, to lock a wheel as you come into the point, into the turning point at the apex. It's very, very tricky indeed. Now, Rob Smith might have another go here at Sir David Knight. Not as close as he was before the last time by, but if he can get himself a super exit through Ritchie's, he might give him an opportunity to line him up for Wilson or further round, maybe Agostini. There's still nose to tail coming through the right-hander. Now, there goes Jamie Going up the inside for 4th on Spencer Stevenson, the red car that was just allowing the black and white machine to try and squeeze through. And I think he has got through in the background. So Jamie Going looks as though he's up to 4th. So that'll be another car to pick off for them. So up through the left-hander of Wilson. And now down towards the Agostini hairpin for the final time. And David Knight has got pulled away a bit more of a gap now on the second place man. Rob Smith in 2nd place. And there's Zach Lucas in 3rd. Jamie Going has got to 4th. And it looked as though for a second that Alistair Kellett had got back past Simon Horobin. So whether Simon's made a mistake or just dropped back a little bit more, we'll have to find out. David Knight then turns into the right-hander at Williams for the final time. Rob Smith still chasing him down. Jack Lucas is a little bit closer on this one. He's pulled away on this lap so far. Where's Simon Horobin disappeared to? He's gone. So I'm guessing it must be some kind of mechanical issue that's put him out on the last lap, which is a real shame if it is, because he was battling pretty hard. There goes Dominic Bush. There's Simon Horobin. No, he's still going, but again, he's dropped back once again. So either he's just tried to make a move and it hasn't worked, or simply just lost the back end somewhere and has gone off the road. But either way, it could be another missed gear as well. But even so, David Knight has been pretty much the man to beat in this race. He's been under threat from Rob Smith all the time, and it's been a while since we've seen him win a race in the Fiesta Championship. He may have been top of the invitation class last year in these cars on a couple of occasions, but in terms of an actual championship race win, you have to look back to a couple of seasons to do so. But he's now getting back to winning form as he turns out of the final corner and on to the pit straight. He will be our 3rd different winner from 3 different race meetings. It was John Cooper at Croft. It was Luke Pinder at Alton Park. Now it's Snetterton to start the weekend. It is David Knight who wins race number 1 here in the Fiesta Championship. Rob Smith in 2nd. Zach Lucas gets 3rd. Sprint to a line for 4th, 5th and 6th as they come across for Jamie Going, Alistair Kellett and Spencer Stevenson. It's then 7th place for Dominic Bush and 8th for Simon Horobin, who will be ruining that. He could have been as high as possibly contending for the win, but issues for him have pushed him back down the order, sadly, so I'll have to wait and see if he can pull back up for race number 2. Stuart Robbins comes across the line in 9th, and Gary Miller, in his first appearance at a Turbo Fiesta, rounds out the top 10 ahead of Marco Ricci, so good effort from them.